show starting at the moment. This is just to make sure everything.
Well, okay, are we live streaming where?
Should be both Facebook groups and YouTube.
Okay, so we're on right now with the camera, right?
Yes.
Hello, everybody.
Are we in the groups already?
Well, that's why I'm starting it early, to make sure we show up.
Okay. Welcome
Well, let us know.
to the Pat Rice Singer Hour.
Gotta go. I'm out of here.
If on the questions for Jeff, if y'all think of something, just pitch in there. Jeff probably can talk uninterrupted for the whole
What's
time.
his last name?
Watson.
Watson, I presume. And what is his title?
Are we live on YouTube right now too?
It says it's connected to it.
Hello, everybody. This is Pat Rice there on YouTube. Residential Rehab Consulting.com. Oh, it's coming back. I like that.
Say something, Pat.
Hey, Ray, how you doing this morning?
I don't hear you. Who said that?
Oh, it's just now he's playing it back through to me. Is that got that big of a delay in it?
Well, that's YouTube itself. I was checking to make sure it was up there. So we are up on YouTube. I'm trying to make
Good.
sure it's coming through on the pages.
This is Professor Pat.
Are we live anywhere right now? I mean,
Yes, we are live on YouTube right now.
So we have to be careful what we say.
Yeah.
Yes, you do,
gotta
Ray.
talk nice about us right
So
now.
I have to. I do.
YouTube is less of a problem than the actual radio show, but still.
Oh, and we have so far we've got 2 people watching.
One of them
So
might just be me, so that's.
well, I'm
Well,
on
don't
here.
say that.
So be careful. Be careful what you say.
Who's the other person who we know?
Is it? Does it effectively work when this thing here is touching the microphone?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
Well, because all it's really doing is breaking up the wind when you're talking. It's not doing much else.
Okay.
Your breath, right? So they can't smell your bad breath.
Man, this is a complicated affair here.
There's some music.
That's why we have Hal here responsible for that, and not Ray. And especially not James.
Yeah, look at that spaghetti of wires over there he's got to hook up. And he didn't have a picture.
Pat, how's that fire job going?
We're kicking it off on Monday. I already did the roof.
Okay, yeah.
They're gonna rip the siding off and they're gonna pull the panel off so they can get the siding up underneath it because we're changing out the service on the back.
How much damage was there to the roof?
Just really the kitchen up, so the garage and the kitchen.
But did water get into the house?
No, well, yeah, some water from the fire hoses,
Well, you know what I would do, what we've started
but
doing?
not that much.
Well, without seeing that, I don't know, but what we've started doing is getting mold certifications early
We're
on.
pulling the sheetrock in 3 rooms.
Right.
It was affected by the fire and the fire hoses.
Yeah, because a lot
The
of times
ceilings.
what we're seeing is buyers or realtors for the buyers are asking for that. And if you
Yeah.
don't have it, what do you do?
We're pulling the 3 affected rooms
Right.
out, the ceilings, and the walls had no damage. This is that area right there.
We've got a really good guy that will do mold certifications for us. Is he one of our sponsors by any chance?
No, but we need to have him.
Okay, yeah. He's
Maybe
done,
maybe that's our guy that already on the insurance.
well, Justin is a guy that knows him. We've used him maybe 5 times.
Well, let's get him.
Yeah, he's really good. He gets out there pretty quick. But yeah, until
I can't hear the radio.
Well, I turned it down a bit because it was kind of loud on my end.
We can't hear it.
Mine's
Okay, good.
Yeah. When we started doing fire damage, I took a fire remediation class, and I didn't realize that we were supposed to be doing mold remediation too.
Yeah, let's get his information so I can call him. I'll call Justin after the show. I talked to him this morning already.
James, are you interested in going to Nashville on the RIA Mastermind group?
We'll talk.
All right, we're up.
I'm not on camera.
I must have bumped into it.
What's that?
Good morning, Houston, YouTube, and Facebook. Welcome to the Massive Passive Show that we do every Saturday. I'm James Haney, and I'm here with Pat Reisinger and Ray Sasser. We've got a very important and exciting show today. We're going to be interviewing Jeff Watson about some of the potential changes that are going to be coming to retirement accounts, and it could have a great effect on how private lending works. And it could change the landscape from what we're used to. So Jeff is going to be calling in here in a few minutes, but I'm going to hand the show over to Pat so he can recognize some of our wonderful sponsors for the show.
Thank you, James. And by the way, Ray is F.A. Y'all don't know that's F.A. Grande.
I've been waiting in hiding mode for that because I've come up with y'all's name. I'm going to call y'all Donkey 1 and Donkey 2.
Well, then we'll call you Donkey
I knew
Kong.
y'all going to come up with that F.A. Grande.
He'll be Donkey Kong then. We'll just forget the F.A.
Okay, Donkey Kong.
Okay, well, I am
Can I
Pat
tell you-
Reisinger.
can I-
Stop interrupting me.
Yes, sir. Wait,
Yeah, we're on a tight-
am I not F.A. Grande or not?
Yeah, you are F.A. Grande, but you're Donkey Kong now. Okay, I'm Pat Reisinger. I'm also a vendor, residential rehab consulting. I've been a consultant now for about the last 15 years, even though I've been remodeling houses since basically about 1980, 82.
I don't think people know what that means, though, and we say this all the time, but you're more than a consultant. You walk the jobs, you look at the jobs, you tell the people when the contractors, if you're using our guys, you probably don't have to worry about it, but if you're using your guys, they're going to be cutting corners. They're not going to be getting things done right. And when you go to sell that house or you get somebody in there and it burns down because they cut that corner.
I can tell you that 99% of my clients always use my guys. And when they use them, they go, your guys are really good. And I said, well, that's because I've vetted them over the last 20 years. Actually, I've had guys more than that working for me in the last 45 years. But, I always say never fall in love with a contractor because one of these days you may have to fire him. And I've had to fire a few that have been with me for 15 or 20 years.
I hired, this happens in every way. I hired a sheetrocker to put sheetrock in, and then I hired the finishers. And then the finishers complained about the sheetrockers, and everybody's complaining. It's like, you need some continuity with your guys. And if you're out there doing 1 or 2 rehabs or 3 or 4 a year, you don't have any control over those guys. And if these guys that you use every day, then they're going to be accountable to you. They're going to finish the job. They're going to come back.
That's always a typical case when you're breaking the job down to that extent.
Right.
The best thing to do is have the guy, whoever's hanging it, he floats it too.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about on a kind of a 20,000 foot view is have your contractors where they have more to lose than just your business. In other words, they're part of an association where if they get a bad rap, they're out of the association.
Well, let me tell you something. This is something I learned many, many years ago from a really great sheetrocker I had, is that we always hung it and floated it, and then we sprayed 1 coat of white paint on everything. Mm-hmm. And that allows you to see all your seams because without the paint, you just have sheetrock paper.
Right. That's a good trick.
And so they'll shoot a coat of paint and take a bright light and go around and check it.
Right.
And then make him fix all that right then.
Right.
Then your painters can come in and do their magic, okay?
Yep.
Because they don't have to fix anything.
Well, Jeff's probably going to call in a couple minutes. So
Okay, well, let me run through these vendors real quick. Okay, we've got some vendors that help us stay on the show, and they also come to our events. Okay, so if you don't get them on the show, or for some reason you don't get to the website, if you come to our event like October the 9th, there'll be vendors there, and we'll talk about this stuff again, right?
Right.
Okay. We have Fredy with Gautex Foundation. He's going to call in at 9:40, and we're going to talk to him. And y'all need to listen to Fredy because he has some really good things to talk to you about. We have Matt Stockert, which is my electrician. I got him working on 2 projects right now. I've got Jesus Duran with JD Fence Company. He's doing some fence on a project.
he's helped us out.
He's helped you out too, right? And also have, I'm going to kind of venture off that in a minute. We have Raymond with RJM Roofing. He's also my framer. So he's doing framing on 2 of my projects and the roof on 2 of them.
Right.
And then plus he's doing this other guy that we're doing a job for in Shenandoah. He's giving him 3 other roofs because he likes him so much.
Hey, Pat, I think Jeff's here. Why don't we wrap up the sponsors, a couple of the sponsors after we get Jeff, because he's going into a meeting also. So let's get him on and let's start talking to him, and then we'll give Jeff like 15 minutes or so, and then
we'll go into that. Okay, sounds good. Hello, Jeff.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, Jeff, this is Ray Sasser. You got Pat said hello, and then you got James here. And,
hi, Jeff.
For the guys out
Ray,
there,
Pat, and James. Good morning. Good morning.
Well, we're going to get to meet you, I'm sure, one of these days.
Well, and I've met Jeff several times. I've been going to National REIA meetings probably for 15 years. Jeff's been there. He's been on the board of directors. He's a legal counsel. There's thousands and thousands of members of National REIA. And what I love about the National REIA is they work together as a group, and they have chapter members. Like we're a chapter member for Houston. We're a chapter member for San Antonio. We have to work with a code of ethics. We have to have legislative efforts. We coordinate with Jeff in the National REIA, and then he's before congressmen, and he talks to these guys, and he basically represents the interests of real estate investors. If you think about it, 100% of commercial properties are owned by real estate investors, and about 30 or 35% of residential properties. And the reason we asked Jeff to come on is Jeff has really spent a lot of time becoming an expert at self-directed IRAs and retirement accounts to buy real estate. Is that correct, Jeff?
That is correct. And towards that end, I've been privileged to work with Quest Trust Company, headquartered there in Houston, Texas, for the last several years. And, Quincy Long, the founder of the company, and Nathan Long, his brother, have become very dear friends of mine. And we've spent a lot of time working together on self-directed IRAs and how we can use them in the real estate space.
Yeah, Quincy is a local legend. He's one of the smartest guys I've ever met, one of the smartest real estate guys I've ever met. And he knows the basically self-directed IRAs, how to use real estate, or how to use your IRAs to be more successful in real estate. And what we want to talk about is what's coming up that's going to be affecting IRAs in the very near future. And just so y'all know, Quincy and I were both on the board of directors at the Ridge Club at one time, and they changed the laws on lease options in Texas. And then the Ridge Club spent almost about $300,000 trying to change that law. And when the law went down, nobody showed up to represent the investors. And we never could change that law. We're still living under that draconian set of rules that they set. And the reason we asked Jeff to come on with us today is we can't wait till they make the law and then try to change it. We gotta change it before it ever happens. So help us, Jeff, and give us some guidance on what we can do.
Well, and I really appreciate this. And here's what's going on right now in Washington, D.C. There are 3 different huge pieces of legislation being debated. And there's a whole lot of political jockeying being played right now by one party that's in majority of both houses and the White House right now. And they have some internal dissension, but they have this dream list. They have this amazing dream list that will fulfill their agenda. and they're trying to do it through what we call a reconciliation process. So I'll refer to this as a reconciliation bill. And in one section of the bill that's 881 pages long, they get to it about page 693. They get to a section that directly impacts self-directed retirement accounts.
Wow, that's burying.
But before they get to self-directed retirement accounts, they go and they touch all retirement accounts. And the first thing that this bill does is it says you can't have more than $10 million combined in all of your retirement accounts. And if you do, then there's this penalty, and then there's this penalty, and so on. So that's the first thing to do. The next thing that this legislation does is it says no more backdoor Roth conversions for you high-income earners that then make a contribution to a traditional IRA and they convert it to a Roth IRA. You're not allowed to do that anymore. Slam the door shut on that. And those are two things that I'm like, okay, I don't like them, but yeah, they're there. Now, the reason they say that they're doing all of this is because they don't want a repeat of what some of the founders of PayPal did. Some of the founders of PayPal took $2,000 in a self-directed Roth IRA and turned it into hundreds of millions of dollars when PayPal went public.
Right.
Well, my issue is, and you know, they've got articles out there where they talk about the Peter Thiel problem, because then Peter went on to make other investments with his self-directed retirement account, all Roth, and turned it into $5 billion. And that might be an exaggerated number. It might not be. I don't know. But I don't even agree with the term the Peter Thiel problem, because the IRS blew it when they audited him. If the IRS would have known what I know, if the IRS would have known what Quincy Long knows, if the IRS would have known what some of the other friends of mine in this industry know, they would have said, whoa, what you did is wrong, here's why it's wrong, and here's what you owe in taxes. But no, they didn't know that. But now, because the IRS didn't know what they were doing long ago, we now all have to suffer. And so they don't want anybody else to be massively successful. So they've gone on and said, listen, in addition to this, you can no longer use your retirement account and invest it as if it was an accredited investor. Now, I need you to really understand what I'm trying to say here. And if I don't get this out, then help me get it out. Right?
Yeah, because, Jeff, I actually understood everything you were saying, except what does that mean? I know what an accredited investor means, but how does that apply to this legislation?
This legislation says that now no retirement account can invest as if it was an accredited investor, which means if there's an investment opportunity that requires you to say that you have a certain net worth, a certain income amount, a certain status financially, you can only do that with non-retirement dollars. But if you've done it with retirement account dollars, you now have to undo what you've done. And you've only got 24 months to do it.
And that's
now,
a disaster.
Exactly. Because I don't know about you, but there's billions of dollars, billions with a big B, okay, billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars that have been invested by retirement account holders and their retirement accounts into syndications, into funds, into capital raising ventures that they now have to unwind. They now have to liquidate. They now have to buy them out. This is going to be like pulling the plug out of a full drain, out of a full tub of water, and you're going to drain very quickly all of this liquidity out of the marketplace.
Well, and there may not even be liquidity for those investments if they're in the process of development, or there's no liquidity. How does that work where they have to pull that money out? They may not
fire sale, loss,
and
lose money.
So they're going to lose money on the dollar, right?
Yeah,
yes.
Well, if you pull money out of an ongoing, like if Jeff comes on board with me and I raise all this money and he has to pull it out, if there's not a contractual agreement to let him out of that, what's going to happen? I mean, this could be lawsuits and court battles and all kinds of.
So my $100, I'm going to be down to zero, right?
No, he said accredited. He said accredited investor. You don't have to worry about it.
It's not your $100. It's your $100,000
And
that you've spent a decade or more making contributions to your 401k. You then took a retirement from a big oil industry company. You've now gone on to self-directed investing. You've moved it to a Roth IRA, traditional IRA over at Quest Trust, and you've put it into a private placement memorandum, or you put it into an apartment syndication, and you made sure that, just like everybody else, that only one out of every $4 was IRA dollars. But now this legislation happens, and all of a sudden, 1/4 of the people who've been into the syndication need to get out in the next 24 months.
He'll shut it down. I mean, those people will either file bankruptcy or they'll ignore the people that have the money in those accounts. I mean, it just seems like a
So
total
people
disaster.
that had a lot of money invested in this have a good chance of losing everything, right?
Yeah, I think so,
Have it-
because
yeah.
it could fail.
Well, I'm
but
glad
here,
I
if
don't
you
have
don't-
any money to lose.
But okay, now I understand that, but let's be even bigger than this, okay? Let's just say that you're an apartment complex operator and you've just raised a bunch of money and you've taken down this beautiful 300-door apartment complex somewhere in the Woodlands or somewhere like that, and you're trying to stabilize it, and then you're going to go try and do a refi. And all of a sudden, all of the other projects have got this same problem. Do you think lenders are going to run into the vacuum to help finance these things out and solve all their problems? Or do you think this is going to suck the entire market down? Which do you think will happen?
That's a good point, because the banks are going to know. They're going to say, "Oh, we're going to all of a sudden we're going to have fire sales going everywhere." So now they're afraid of the values, and they're not going to give. They're not even going to get in those transactions.
So this could be worse than 2008, right?
Yep, this could be. This, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm exaggerating, but I see how this could become just like the S&L crisis.
So one of the things,
literally be like the S&L crisis that could come in and devastate this segment, because this is what happened in the apartment industry. This is what happened in the commercial real estate space with the Tax Reform Act in 1986. We made a huge tax code change, and all of a sudden, the ramifications of it drove money out of it. The banks couldn't get into it. S&Ls suddenly became insolvent, and it became a nightmare.
one of the things language you use, Jeff, I'm still kind of tripping up on. You said they have to act as if they're accredited investors. Or if they're
Yes.
acting as accredited investors, then they have to they cannot put those funds in. So does that mean LLCs and things like that? I mean, what does that really mean?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because that takes me to the fourth provision that's in this bill that is just absolutely heart-stopping. Okay, it makes the blood in my veins just go ice cold and stop moving. They put a fourth provision in there, and this is the section I'm now referring to. These sections are sections 138312 and sections 138314. Let me say those numbers again slowly. These are sections 138312 and 138314 of the House and Senate of the House Reconciliation Bill. Okay, the Senate has not moved on this yet, and I'll get into that in a minute. But the fourth section says, oh, by the way, no retirement account can own 10% or more of any entity. In the industry, we see a lot of people who have an IRA-owned LLC, an IRA-owned trust, an IRA-owned entity. And this now legislation comes out and says, nope, can't do that anymore. And if you did it, you got 2 years to unwind it. So that means if you took your self-directed retirement account at Quest Trust Company or somewhere else, and I don't know why you would be anywhere else but at Quest, and you set up an LLC that your friend is the manager of, like Quincy would teach you how to do, or I would teach you how to do, and then you were doing that to do deals so that you could buy stuff at the auction steps, you could fund right away, you could pay your contractors, you could get stuff done right away as you're buying houses or whatever, or lending money out of it. You're not allowed to do that anymore. This statute says you've got to go undo all that.
Yeah,
and so
if people are working with their IRAs, this is a slick tool because it allows you to move quickly. And in real estate investing, moving quickly is important. And now it's basically saying I'm hamstrung because I can't run that through the LLC or the trust, and it just really, really slows me down.
Yes, it slows you down now. But now somebody's going to say to me, somebody who's listening to us, they're going to say, "Well, man, I'm glad this is not going to impact me, man. This sounds scary, and I'm so
They're
glad
wrong.
I don't have any money." And I'm like, "Oh, I wish they were right, but they're so wrong." And here's why: without capital, without liquidity, without money being readily available, what happens in the real estate space? Can people buy stuff? Can people pay to fix it up? Can people get it? None of that happens. And so this legislation, if it passes, is going to literally drain billions, tens of billions of dollars of money out of the real estate space. And I'm not talking just single-family houses. I'm talking about large apartment complexes. I'm talking about other commercial operations, self-storage, all the stuff that we see real estate investors go do. If you see a real estate investor doing it, it's going to get impacted by this bill. Now, here's what's going on with the bill. This bill is stuck, and they are doing everything they can to make it move. And here's where it's stuck. It's stuck in two places. It's stuck in the United States Senate because there are 2 Democrat senators, because they only need 50 votes. And they've got the 51st vote in the vice president to break the tie. They've got 48 yes votes, and they've got 2 no votes in the Democrat caucus in the Senate. And so they are working very hard to get those 2 senators to change their mind and agree. But they also have to get this bill to pass the House of Representatives. Now, the Democrat Party right now has a 3-vote majority, in the House of Representatives. And so we have been very aggressively targeting 8 moderate Democrats that we believe will listen to common sense business interests and say, hey, wait a second. This isn't good for my people. This isn't good for my business. This isn't good for my people. This isn't good for my community. And I'll give an example. I wrote to one of the congressmen that represents the Laredo, Texas market. Okay? He represents Laredo, Texas. I wrote to his office and I said, I currently represent some individuals who have formed an IRA-owned LLC, and they lend money to a home builder. This home builder builds starter homes. If this legislation passes, they have to stop doing this. You're going to have a man who has successfully built dozens of starter homes in your community over the last few years, suddenly without money to do business. Is this what you want? And I haven't heard back from them, but there's two of the key parties are congressmen here from Texas, Vicente Gonzalez and Henry Cuellar, and they have frequently worked with real estate investing community. National REIA has had a good relationship with them. The Seller Finance Coalition has had a good relationship with these 2 men, and so I've been extensively reaching out to their offices to get their attention on this critical bill, because the way we see it is this: with the very, very slim majority that they have in the House of Representatives, I just need four moderates to go, this isn't going to work. We've got to change this. We've got to change this. I just need 4 moderates, and I've been working hard on identifying 8 of them. All of this information is available on my good friend John Heyer's website. I'm going to give you the name of the website several times now. It's called handsoffmyira.com. Handsoffmyira.com.
Yeah, I went out there, and y'all got that really set. Y'all have done a good job setting that up, and I think there's even there's some examples of some letters that people can use to kind of get them to help.
Yes. And the other thing that's on that website, and this is really important. I want everybody to listen to this very, very importantly. What's on this website is, if you go, what can I do? How to take action. If you go to that, hit that little button, and you go all the way to the bottom of that section, you will see what I call the easy peasy step 1 link.
Good.
Okay. This is the easy peasy step 1 link. at the bottom of the section, where you can click on the link and it will take you to National RIA's unique voter voice system, where you click on the link, takes you to the voter voice, you put in your zip code, maybe you have to put in a couple more identifying information about where you exactly live, depending upon how your district is set up, your congressional district is set up, but then it will let you choose between one or two sample letters to email to your member of Congress and to your 2 United States senators.
You know,
Okay?
we're literally in the hands of very few people, and we've got one party who's going to put incredible pressure on the other members of that party to get them to vote in line with them. And
Yep.
we've got to help them get the courage to stand up for basically the success that real estate investors are having, and everybody gets the benefit of that. Without liquidity in the marketplace, it shuts down. I mean, it's if you've lived through 2007 or in the 80s doing deals like I did, it's horrible when the money's taken out of the market. It's a bloodbath.
It is. It's a bloodbath, and this bill will cause tens of billions of dollars of IRA money to come out of the market, and when that money leaves the market, everything else is going to follow it, and you're going to literally watch this whole housing structure, this whole housing economy, take a huge hit and start to swirl and gurgle down the drain.
Yeah, so what I would say is, and we're going to have to wrap up, and I know that you have a thing that you're doing this morning. We need to kind of just go over what we need to do to help encourage these people to vote the way that's in the best interest of America, as far as I'm concerned. And
Okay.
and
Yeah.
So let's just run through that one more time, because I know firsthand. I said on there, we worked with lobbyists. We tried to change a law. Once they made it, there was never any going back. And once it goes back, it's 1,000 times harder than changing it now. So share with us again, Jeff, what we can do. And by the way, and I'm going to let Jeff wrap up on this, and then we're going to move on. But I've got a lot. We're mostly Texas based, and if you're out there and you guys have groups, or you have you're an influencer, or you have friends on Facebook, you need to follow up on this, and you need to let your friends know, because it affects everybody. It's not just the guy that's that investor. It's also the user, the person that's living in that starter home. So we need this to go the right way. So share with us, Jeff, how we make the change, how we fix this.
Sure. All right. So this is, since I'm speaking predominantly to a Texas-based audience, this is really important, because there's two key members of the Texas congressional delegation that we need to reach out to: Henry Cuellar and Vicente Gonzalez. You're going to get to them two different ways. You're going to go to John Hyer's website, handsoffmyira.com, handsoffmyira.com, and you're going to go to the Take Action button. It's very easy. This is, folks, you can do this literally from your smartphone or your iPad or your whatever. And at the bottom of that, there's what I call the easy peasy link, where you can hit that little button and go right to the voter voice thing supplied by National RIA. Enter your zip code, enter a couple of other things, bang, you're going to be able to then get a code, send a letter, off it goes. Then the next step is go follow the instructions on contacting what we refer to as the important 8. There are 8 important members of Congress. Henry Cuellar, Vicente Gonzalez are 2 of the 8. They're Texas members of Congress. These men are friends to the real estate investing community. They have co-sponsored bills that I have lobbied them on personally to make it easier to do seller financing across the United States of America. So these are guys that we want to work with. These are guys that want to work with us. We just have to make them understand what the situation is. The other 6 are scattered out in different areas. There's a guy in New Jersey. There's a gal in Virginia. There's a gal in Florida. So we can go after them. We can contact them. We can follow up with them, because this is, and they need to hear from you multiple times. Please just don't think that because, I sent one email, I've done my job. No, you got started. You found out it didn't hurt. You found out you can do it. then you need to go send a dozen more emails because
Sounds like me when I'm talking to vendors, huh?
Yeah, exactly. You got to send a dozen more emails because this, and you say, well, Jeff, I don't have an IRA. Ray, I don't have an IRA. Guys, I don't. No, you're working for somebody who does. You're working with somebody who does. And if they don't have the money if they don't have the ability to put that money into these deals, where's the money going to come from? If banks find out that nobody else has got money, what do you think the banks are going to do? They're going to say, oh, we don't want to touch it either. So this is important. So back to handsoffmyira.com. Hit the Take Action button, do the easy peasy stuff at the very bottom of that Take Action page, and then work your way up to the Important 8, and then there's some more you can go after, and just keep following up with them. And if you're like me, you're gonna follow this attitude. You're gonna work like it all depends on you, and you're gonna pray like it all depends on God.
Well, and Jeff, I want to thank you for getting on this at the last minute and sharing this with you. And for the people out there listening, I've been around Jeff Watson for, I guess, at least 10 years that I know of, and he's like a bulldog, and he's really put a lot of his personal time and energy in this. And when you're connected to the National RIA, it almost becomes like a passion where you really are interested in the members and the people around you, because when you see these RIAs that are out there working so hard to help their investors, these associations, it's really magical what happens. And ultimately, the developers and builders and the people that take these broken down properties, and then, like with me, I've had people live in my houses for 25, 30 years, buy them, and they think I'm a great person because I gave them an opportunity they didn't have otherwise. And we need this. We need this money to stay in the machine, and we need the machine working. And Jeff, what you've given back over the years, I'm just so appreciative of, and thank you for being in the fight with us.
Yeah, and thanks for being on the air with us, and hopefully we see you soon at some of our events, right?
Yeah.
Well, or I see you guys at a Quest event. See you guys in Houston at a Quest event, because Quest is doing live events, and I'm there on many occasions. In fact, I'm going to be at Quest Trust's offices in about 3 weeks there in Houston, Texas. So
I'll buy you lunch.
Looking forward to it.
I'll buy you lunch.
Looking forward to it.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
Gentlemen,
Jeff.
it has been
Jeff.
a true pleasure. It's been a true pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity. And folks, handsoffmyira.com. Go take action. Peace, everybody.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, I hope we meet you in person soon.
And by the way,
Thanks.
just
Bye-bye.
for our listeners and viewers, because we are on YouTube and Facebook right now, because today was such a special topic, we will have that information, those websites and the links and everything. We'll have that up on the videos, and then we'll also maybe we can get how to create something on our website, themassivepassiveshow.com. Because we need everybody's involvement. We need, our YouTube video, the post in the group. We need that to be shared with everybody. Whether you're a wholesaler, investor, flipper, because we got to work together to stop this.
Yep. Okay, so we cut you off when you were talking about.
No, we're going to talk about Fredy right now, right?
Yeah, he's on.
Fredy with Gautex Foundations. We got to get him in. He's one of my oldest vendors, and I can't let him slide here. He's
an old person.
He's not that old. I'm the oldest person around, I think.
You said oldest vendor.
Yeah, well, he's not old like old timer, but he's
not
with
old
us.
like you.
No, he's been with us. Actually, we got Gerard Duran, and Gerard brought Fredy to the plate because Gerard's been my engineer for about 14, 15 years now.
And this is Ray Sasser, and that was Pat. Yesterday we bought property that the seller thought had a plumbing issue, and we looked at it. We missed it. I normally don't miss these problems, but it was a drainage issue, and that's where people that are experts at the foundation, people take drainage they take it so cavalierly, and then you have problems, and you need somebody that can help you, because drainage is one of the biggest problems with people who own properties.
Yeah. Okay, Fredy, tell us what you do, because you told me some things this morning I didn't know you did.
Oh, yes, Pat. Good morning. And thank you all for this opportunity to go live on the radio. I'm really excited with this program with you guys. And again, my name is Fredy Alvarado. and I am the owner of Gautex Foundation Solutions. And we've been working and doing foundation work for probably right now about 7 years doing on my own. And we've been helping a lot of clients with the real estate field with foundation work. And I was telling you, Pat, this morning about French drain. We do also French drain because this is part of another issue with most of these houses for the investors. You know, these houses, some of them have comes with a lot of problems with drainage issue. And that's the part of the real estate, right? With these problems, that's the whole point when we buy a house, that it's is not in that good conditions and needs to be rehabbed. So sometimes that these moisture, sometimes moisture gets under the house because the water is not draining well. So Watex can help with pier and beam foundations, with French drainage, all kinds of foundations that you can imagine we can help you with.
Well, you
We
know,
have
you're saying that real quick. I had a client one time that called me, Mark Inger, about I guess he called me about 10 years ago. He said, Pat, I got this problem with this house. Every time it rains, the water comes in the foundation in the house. And I said, well, here, give me the address. I went over there and looked at it. I said, well, this is the problem. I said, there's a void underneath that foundation, and when it rains, that water gets in there. It's called electrolysis. It builds up pressure, and it's got to go somewhere, so it comes up through the slab. I said, if you'll pump some mud up underneath that house, it'll stop it. And he did that, and he said, you're a genius. It just rained, and there's no water in the house. And so you run into those kind of problems too, right?
Yes, yes. Sometimes that's a good solution, but sometimes remember that these pier and beam houses, that they don't have enough space to throw more dirt underneath or
Well,
mud.
this was a concrete foundation.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the concrete. They put it some more. We don't do that kind of stuff, but we definitely can help to get the water away from the surrounding areas. That it's one of the
And
main
that's what
problems.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then I've seen several houses. We have done over 1,000 houses on foundation work, and you will find every single house has a completely different problem with these houses. So that mode is a good solution. Unfortunately, we don't do that kind of work, but we definitely do the French drain, which is a one, I think is one of the easiest solutions to get the water away from your house,
Mm-hmm.
and also the foundation repair.
Well,
For
also, when you do a foundation like a pier and beam house, I always have my houses termite shields installed when I do that work. Y'all do that too, right?
Yes, we usually with these old houses, they're not up to code before people were installing. I mean, this is per codes now from the cities for windstorm inspections and all that. Usually, 50, 60 years ago, these people were installing only like every 12 feet, every 15 feet beam. So what we're coming to do is basically put everything up to code with new reinforcements, with new piers, with some new beams to reinforce, and of course the termite shields. Basically, we're bringing the house up to code for a really affordable price. And I think as far as we have 5 crews, and I don't think we have somebody that can compete with us on prices and as quick as we can work with their customers. I know with real estate, time means money, and if you guys need any foundation work, like tomorrow, we can. Sorry, we work Monday through Saturdays, and we can get started the next day if you want to. We have 5 crews available to do any kind of foundation work or any kind of drainage issues.
Yeah, that's really important. And I think a lot of people, when they're buying the properties, they get involved and they don't know what they're doing. And a lot of times they buy stuff that's really, really bad. And then sometimes they buy stuff that's minor, and then they get somebody out there that, say, doesn't have a great reputation, and they end up spending twice as much as what they need to spend.
Well, and Freddie said the key word. He knows investors.
Right.
And that's why I vetted Freddie before I took him on as one of our vendors, right?
Yeah.
And you said the key word. You know that investors are under the gun. So you're there to get that job done, get it done right, and make sure that at the end of the day, on the backside, when they get ready to sell a house, it's going to pass all the inspections.
You know what I like also about Freddie is that he has enough volume that he's pretty much seen everything. So he doesn't have to experiment and figure out, hey, we'll try this. He'll know exactly what to do. He'll do it right the first time. And then we move on and we're past that problem. Some of the most serious problems you can have with properties is improper drainage.
Right. Right.
Yes, that's correct. That's the drainage is also with the roots, with those big oak trees. Those are one of the main problems, that factors that will cause a foundation sinking, and the French drain too. So we can or either prevent a future damage, or we can fix the damage.
You know, Freddie, I do kind of have a question. I've got, like, around our house, we have some huge pine trees. And then, like, on our front, this little oak tree now has become a big oak tree, and it's real close to the slab. And, like, I'm wondering, do I cut them down? Do I leave them there? What do I do? And what's going to be the consequences to the slab?
Okay, on the pine house, really is not too much. The problem is not that big because the roots are not going so far. But with the oak trees, the oak tree can be 30, 25 feet away from the house. Usually these new subdivisions with the that have to have per eight. I'm sorry, for I think it's a code or
Well, the homeowner association a lot of times wants you to put an oak tree or some tree in the front yard.
In the front yard. Most of those houses, the problem they're getting that those trees cause a lot of foundation issues. So I will recommend you to be worried about the front side by installing some kind of root barrier to prevent the future damage. Usually these houses, after 25 years, all of them are going to start, if they have a tree in the front, all of them are going to start sinking after 20, 25 years.
Is that because they suck the water out of the ground?
That's why. Yeah. They need a lot of humidity to grow, and that's one of the biggest problems with foundations.
Well, I got that oak tree. It's not huge, and it's real close to the house in the front, and it just was like, I think a bird dropped a seed there 10 years ago, and it's just gotten, all of a sudden, it's just gotten big, and it's like, okay, I don't want this thing any bigger. I need it to go away. But now I'm worried, like, if I cut it down, will it cause, will all of a sudden,
the rotting roots, right?
Yeah. Will I have problems there?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, if you prevent by installing a root barrier right now, it's going to definitely prevent
right.
And you can keep your tree.
On your slab. Yeah, and then you will keep your tree, because
I don't want that tree. It's too close to the house.
Well, that's the thing. I've looked at houses that had roots all around the house, and the house would have major foundation issues.
And driveways and sidewalks.
Yeah, driveways are all cracked up and everything.
Right.
The other thing that honestly, I've been looking at some of houses, and by the experience I have, I would rather, these new systems with the cable lock that the builders are using. I do rather to go straight with rebar and not have to use that cable lock, because really I have seen new houses, actually, some of them 7, 10, 15 years old, and they already have 2-3 inches low on one side.
Really?
So, yeah.
So
really.
The cable lock, what I'd like to do is maybe get a picture Pat, of the difference so people can tell that they got cable lock, and we'll put it on the website?
That'd be great.
And then I didn't know that cable lock had those kinds of problems. So
Well,
cable lock,
this is the thing. We'd like to get you to help us with that. We'd also like to make sure that you try to show up at our next event on October the 9th, and you can talk to people
maybe
live.
do a tip of the month. We'll
Yeah,
just get them
absolutely.
up there and ask them some questions. That would be good.
So all you listeners, come on October the 9th, go to our website at massivepassiveshow.com and get our information and come to this event, because you'll get to talk to these vendors live, which is
Yeah.
important. It won't cost you a dime.
If you live in Houston, drainage and foundations are a major part of your decision process when you're buying stuff and you're spending money doing a budget.
Well, we're going to have to cut you loose right now, Freddie, because we got to talk about us and making some money.
All right.
But
Yeah,
hopefully we'll have you on again soon. And I'm going to send you a text, and hopefully we'll see you on October the 9th, okay?
that will be perfect. And I just wanted to point it out real quick that we provide free estimates. If you need an estimate like next day, we can do it at any time. And we're investor friendly, and we have a lot of discounts for real estate investors.
I'd
So
like
just
to.
that in mind, that if you ever have any problems, just give us a call. My phone number is 281-571-6784. You can reach out to me directly to that phone number.
Or you can go to our website and get his information.
Yeah, Massive Passive.
MassivePassiveShow.com. All of
One
our
thing-
vendors are on there.
And we're going to have to cut you loose, Freddie. But one thing I'd like to say on Freddie's behalf, these guys they work hard, they show up, they get the job done. It's not just about the lowest dollars. It's about standing behind what they do. It's about the service. And if you're going to get somebody to come out there and give you an estimate, don't be playing games with the seller and you're trying to just get bids to beat the seller down. That guy coming out there giving you that estimate, that's your partner. That's
That's
the
right.
guy that's going to save your butt.
Well, this guy can
and you
tell
gotta
you, just
treat him
talking
like a
to him
partner.
and knowing his engineer is the guy you want to call.
Right, exactly. So we got to move on. So James, what were you going to say?
I'm just going to let everybody know that we actually have an event coming up. We have our free networking event on October 9th that we've already mentioned.
Which is what day?
And
of
it's
the
going to
month?
be on Saturday. It's every month on the second Saturday of the month. We have our free networking event over at TransAct Title.
And people
in
are
their
actually
building.
showing up. I think people are finally getting over their fear of COVID.
I had a call yesterday, Les Lobo. I sent a text, and you're in a text with him.
Okay.
And he said, I got your number in my phone, and so I decided to call you. And I said, oh, good. Well, the reason you have my number in your phone, because I'm a great guy.
So the location where we're at, for one, it can be found at our website, massivepassiveshow.com. But where we are is we're across from the Galleria. The address is 1001 West Loop South. And so it's really easy to get to. And we'll be there on October 9th from 8:30 to noon. And for those that sign up and pre-register at our website, we're going to be bringing some breakfast tacos, maybe some donuts, and have some coffee and everything. And we'll have some networking for the first hour. But our topic is how you can use real estate to retire in 5 years or become financially independent, where you don't
I
have
need
to.
that course bad.
You don't have to rely on that job or be in the rat race, because some people do like to work and do this at the same time. So you don't necessarily have to retire. But if you are going to work, we want it to be your choice.
And even if you don't make it in 5 years, if you're not willing to put the time and energy, what you do as in your activities determine the direction you go in. And there's a better direction than what most people do. They just typically don't get there because they're going the wrong direction. They're not following the right blueprint.
Exactly. And so that's what our theme of this month is going to be. We try to have a theme every month, and last month was subject to creative finance. So we have a different one this month.
But there'll be lots of networking.
There'll be networking tips. And also, if you're a wholesaler out there listening, bring your deals to these events, because we'll have the opportunity to have you present your deals.
And you can network with everybody in the room.
Do I have to be nice to them if they bring crappy deals?
You have to be nice to everybody, Ray.
Well, there they're all crappy.
No, they're not. There's some. What amazes me is people will present good deals and nobody does anything with them. And like I might call them 4 days later and they'll say, "Oh, nobody called me," and it turns out we end up buying it. And it's like, where's everybody
I
at?
tell
Are they
you, Ray's
asleep?
always going to Facebook, and somebody posts something about a house in Orange, Texas, and he says, "Okay, I'm interested."
And then also, we only got about 3 minutes left, guys, so we need to get this in. We're also working on putting together a bus tour to where we're going to actually meet at TransAct Title. We're going to meet there, and then we're going to head out and go look and walk a few properties that day. And then we're going to come back. I think it's like 3 properties we're going to walk, and then we'll actually come
get
back.
as many as we can.
Yeah, I got a couple under major rehab right now.
Those will be
We'll plug
perfect.
in.
We'll look at those properties, and then in the afternoon, we're gonna dissect those properties and break them down, and really say, hey, that's a go, no go, or here's what the offer should be. By the end of the day, you'll know pretty much how to figure out what it's going to cost to fix up a property by walking through it. You're going to know whether or not it's a property you even want to buy, and you're going to we'll talk about exit strategies, and we'll just talk about like how to put this together. If you haven't been buying properties, you're going to be a different person when you walk out at the end of the day. If you've been buying properties, you're going to benefit from Pat and my experience of rehabbing probably about 2,000 houses among us. And it's just amazing what we've been through, the mistakes we've made, the home runs we've hit, and we're going to share that. We're going to be an open book. And if you come there and you don't engage and you don't ask questions and you walk out of there and don't get everything you want out of that, then
I tell you, when I walk through with you, you're going to see everything I'm looking at, and I'm going to look at things that you never even thought about looking at.
And then we'll rotate the audience between. Sometimes you'll be going with Pat, and then when you come with me, I'll tell you why he's wrong on everything and why I'm right. And then I'm sure he'll do the same thing with me.
Yeah, that's one thing about Ray. He might not never be wrong, but not be right, but he's never wrong.
Well, another benefit too is you'll actually get to see these houses probably in different stages of the rehab.
Yeah.
But it'll also show you some things to look for. So when you're going to a house, it may not be one that you're already looking at, but when you get a lead and you're going to look at a house, you'll be able to look for certain things. You'll be able to see it behind the scenes. And even the more that you are able to, eventually you'll get to the point where I can evaluate a house, within a ballpark. I'm not an expert like these other 2 guys, but I can get in the ballpark of what my cost of repairs are going to be.
And that's enough. That's enough.
Well, if you get the major issues, you really got it covered,
Yeah.
Well,
cool.
we got a couple of people like Roe and Lawrence Hermes and stuff that have been following us for years, and I guarantee you they'll be on this bus tour.
We've done several bus tours, and to me, it's a really rewarding experience because you can see people no matter what level you're on. When you're out there and you're touching it and feeling it, it becomes real and it becomes possible, and people start taking action because now they can touch it and feel it. And if you're on the fence about whether or not real estate investing is for you, these are the kind of super events. And there's people, national guys, charge $4,000 to come in and do that. And I know one in particular that does that. So this will be real cheap. And
yeah, it's going to be on October 30th. We're going to be getting some information up on our website this week about it. And we'll have some information at our event on October 9th. For any information that you need from us, it is going to be at massivepassiveshow.com. There's links to our YouTube, Facebook groups. You can even,
they can email us.
Oh yeah, be sure
to
to
get on our list
about our show.
to get
Yes.
on our sign up list too.
Yeah.
Yes, that is at massivepassiveshow.com.
Okay, are we done? Is it a wrap?
We are done. That's a wrap. We will see everybody next week.
Are we still on YouTube?
Probably.
Yeah, we are still on YouTube.
Well, you better watch your language.
Are we me?